Big change today in how BP's money will be doled out to those who were impacted along the Gulf Coast by that tremendous oil spill. Remember, emergency payments have come to an end, and now the tough negotiating begins to determine just how much money people who filed claims will get. Our Lizzie O'Leary is here with me now, and she's bringing in the man in charge of that fund, Ken Feinberg.
Ken Feinberg, who's obviously a very well-known guest to our viewers now. Ken, let's talk about this amazing change that's going on here, because we are shifting from emergency payments, which have been doled out about $2 billion worth, into final payment mode. But there are two different options people have here. One in which they would basically waive their right to sue BP or any of the other defendants, and one in which they wouldn't. Walk us through the two different paths.
Two choices. Starting in a few weeks, any claimant, whether or not they've even filed for an emergency payment, it doesn't matter. Any claimant can come in, document their damage, and be offered a lump sum payment, a one-time payment, in return for a total release to sue. I'm not going to sue BP, Halliburton, Transocean. I want the payment, that's it, for any present and future damage. Or, second choice, I'm not sure about the future. I'm not ready to take a lump sum payment. I will continue to accept quarterly payments, interim payments, if I can document my past damage. No release required. You can come back to the fund as many times as you want and wait until you decide that you want to file for a lump sum final payment, if you ever want to do it at all.
Well, what's the reasoning behind that? I mean, why would anybody waive their right to sue? Presumably you think that they'll get more if they go for the lump sum.
First of all, they will get more. If I'm willing to offer a payment in return for all future damage, not just quarterly 3 months of past damage, there will be a substantial number of claimants who will opt for the lump sum payment. 99% of the fishing grounds are open. They're shrimping, they're oystering, the tourism hopefully is returning, and people may very well decide at their own voluntary option will take the lump sum payment rather than come back again and again and have to document past damage.
Do you expect that the $20 billion is going to be enough? We've gone through about $2 billion, but the $2 billion is just really those emergency payments. A lot of people have held back till they knew what the final protocol was going to be.
I don't know how many people you say have held back. We have received in the last 90 days approximately 450,000 claims. There's never been anything like this. I thought we'd probably receive 100,000 claims. 450,000 claims. I think anybody and just about everybody filed a claim with the Gulf Coast Claims Facility.
But say you multiply that out, okay, so then we're talking about probably, if you were to follow the same math, but somewhere in the neighborhood of $12 billion. It seems like there might be some money left over.
Too early to tell. I'm hoping much more important than extrapolating numbers is the fact that the news appears to be getting better and better about the Gulf and the impact of the spill on the Gulf. And the more things return to normal in the Gulf, the better for everybody.
Mr. Feinberg, it's Margaret Brennan here jumping in. In Lizzie's reporting and what I saw down in the Florida area, there was a lot of concern about projected losses during a time of year where people really make, the bulk of their bread and butter. How are you accounting for that?
We are absolutely taking into account in our calculations seasonal adjustments.
Okay.
That Memorial Day to Labor Day is an important aspect of all of this. And
if you would stay put in just a moment, we're going to take a quick break. Gulf oil spill victims have a choice: a lump sum payment now, or they can hold out and hope for a bigger final payment later. That, of course, is a reference to the $20 billion that BP set aside to compensate victims affected by the oil spill. That announcement on the details of the payment system coming from Ken Feinberg today. He's with us, along with our spill expert, Lizzie O'Leary, who was down in the Gulf region for about 4 months or so. Mr. Feinberg, I want to pick up with you because we had to take a break and we didn't let you finish your sentence there. You were talking about the compensation for income that would have been lost, projected income, and the seasonal adjustments that you're allowing for.
That's correct. I think you have to do that for the reasons you say. Some of these motels, hotels, and others, the tourism impact in the summer is vastly different from the rest of the year.
So when Lizzie asked you there, and I thought the question was key, on the projections of how much of that $20 billion you are going to pay out, you've got to have a ballpark in there, given that $2 billion has already been spent. Are you working backwards from we've got to keep it capped at $20 billion and thus using that to determine the size of the payments?
Not at all. Not at all. I must say, BP has made it very clear that if $20 billion proves to be insufficient, it will honor any additional financial obligations. I certainly hope that the escrow account, which is up to $20 billion, will be more than adequate. We'll have to see. I think before these emergency payments all get paid in the next couple of weeks, we've got to catch up. I will have paid about $2.2 or $2.3 billion. So I think the program is very generous, and it certainly is unprecedented.
Let me ask you about one little catch in it, which I was struck by, Ken. It's Lizzie. When you were introducing this to reporters on the telephone, BP has the chance to object to and appeal any single payment over $500,000. Now, if you are a big business operator in Florida, say a big hotel chain, you saw your business get decimated, I mean, why would BP let a big payment like that go ahead? Aren't they going to appeal just about everything that hits $500,000?
You'll have to ask BP that. I thought, in fairness, if BP, that is paying $20 billion, wants to challenge my decision involving a claim over a single claim over $500,000, and in the emergency payments there weren't many of them, a handful, they ought to be able to do that.
Is that challenging you, or is that going back and challenging the applicant?
Well, they're challenging me. They're challenging my decision to render an award of over $500,000. But there's only a very, very limited number of those claims. The great bulk of the claims, 95% of them, BP has no right under the law or under my facility to challenge those claims.
Let me ask you to step back from some of the specifics, though, Ken, because we have talked about this so many times. You've heard the criticism from members of Congress who say the Justice Department should take over and run this program. You administered the 9/11 fund, the Virginia Tech Fund. Is this much harder than you ever envisioned it would be? It seems like it keeps hitting repeated stumbling blocks.
Well, I don't know, stumbling blocks. It goes with the territory. This is a tough assignment. I never envisioned 450,000 claims, I must say that. In that sense, it's more of a challenge. I respect these criticisms. I really do. This is thousands and thousands of people impacted by this spill. And there's a lot of emotion, and there's a lot of concern. And I think that at the end of the day, the program is working. The statistics speak for themselves. I mean, the people are certainly filing these claims, I must say, and we're paying out the money. So over time, I'm hopeful, and I'm determined to meet these criticisms and get the money out the door to the people that are eligible and need the money.
All right, Mr. Feinberg, thank you for your time today. Lizzie, thank you for bringing the interview to the show. This was a first on Bloomberg, we should say. Thanks for that.